All right, let's talk about something that pretty much runs our lives, dopamine. But here's the thing, you've probably heard it all wrong. We're taught to think of it as the pleasure chemical, but that's not the real story. Today, we're going to dive into what it actually is, the motivation molecule.
So let's be real for a second. Why is it so hard to just put your phone down? I mean, look at this. We've all been there, right? Completely lost in that endless scroll. What's actually going on here? Well, it's not just boredom. Nope, there's a powerful little chemical in your brain that's pulling all the strings.
And that leads us straight into our first big idea, the pleasure myth. Seriously, there is a huge misunderstanding about what dopamine really does. And once we clear this up, so much about our daily habits is going to make a whole lot more sense.
We've all heard it, right? Dopamine is the feel-good chemical you get after you do something rewarding. But that's not quite right. The reality is, dopamine isn't the feeling of pleasure itself, it's the motivation chemical. It's the thing that makes you want to go get the reward in the first place. It's the gas in the engine, not the destination.
Okay, so here is the absolute key. Dopamine isn't really about getting the reward. It's about the anticipation of getting it. It's that little buzz you feel, that, ooh, this could be good, that gets you to take action. It's all about the chase, not the catch. And once you really get that, everything else starts to click into place. So this brings us to what you could call the engine of more. This is exactly how dopamine builds our habits. The good ones and, yeah, the not so good ones too. And it all works because of a simple, repeating little loop that's constantly running in our brains.
Let's break down this loop. It all starts with a cue. Let's say your phone buzzes. That's step one. Instantly, your brain releases a little hit of dopamine. That's step two, the craving. It's what makes you think, I gotta check that. So step three, you respond. You check the phone. And finally, step four, you get the reward. Maybe it's a new like. Boom. That whole cycle just taught your brain to crave that buzz all over again. Okay, now this is where things get really interesting, because modern technology hasn't just learned about this system, it's become an expert at hijacking it. And it does this using something called the variable reward trap.
So what does that even mean? Well, it turns out the most powerful way to hook a brain is to make the reward unpredictable. Just think of a slot machine. You don't get a prize every time you pull that lever, because you might win. It's that maybe, that feeling of uncertainty that sends dopamine levels through the roof, way more than reward you knew was coming.
And once you start looking for it, you'll see this trick is absolutely everywhere. You post something. Will it get 5 likes or 500? You just don't know. You're scrolling a feed. What's the next video going to be? You have no idea. Each one of these things is like a tiny little slot machine in your pocket, perfectly designed to keep you pulling that lever.
But there's a catch. There's a price to pay for all these constant, easy dopamine hits, and it leads to this really strange paradox. The more we get, the less satisfied we actually feel.
See, your brain is always trying to stay in balance. So, when it's just constantly flooded with these huge dopamine spikes, it adapts. It literally raises the bar for what it finds exciting. It's kind of like listening to music so loud that after a while, a normal conversation sounds like a whisper. Your brain starts to need more and more stimulation just to feel, well, anything.
Think about it like this. Before, maybe a simple walk outside felt genuinely nice. It gave you a decent amount of joy. But after hours of scrolling, which gives you that super high dopamine rush, that same walk can feel flat, kind of boring. Your baseline has shifted, and now the simple, natural pleasures just don't hit the same way.
What's happening is that we're making this trade-off without even realizing it. We're choosing the quick, instant, high dopamine activities, which often leave us feeling kind of empty, and we're choosing them over the harder, delayed reward activities like studying or exercising, the things that actually lead to long-term fulfillment. We're basically training our own brains to prefer the cheap hit over the meaningful win.
So is it all doom and gloom? Are we just stuck like this? Absolutely not. The good news is you can fight back. You can actually reset your baseline and take back control of your motivation.
It's this idea called a dopamine reset. And the concept is pretty simple, even if doing it can be a little tough. You just intentionally take a break from all that high stimulation stuff. You give your brain a chance to recalibrate. It's just like letting your ears rest after a loud concert. Eventually, the world starts to sound normal again.
Now, to be clear, the goal isn't to get rid of dopamine. You can't, and you wouldn't want to. The whole point is to restore your sensitivity back to normal, so that the simple things in life, a conversation with a friend, a walk on the park, reading a book, feel rewarding again.
like they're supposed to.
And that really brings us full circle to the most important takeaway of all. If you remember one thing, make it this. Dopamine drives the pursuit of happiness, but it is not happiness itself. That feeling of real satisfaction and contentment, that comes from a totally different system in your brain, often after the dopamine fuel chase is over.
Look, knowing all this doesn't mean technology is evil, or you can never enjoy a treat. It just means you're now aware of the game that's being played inside your own head. You understand the rules. And once you know the rules, you get to decide how to play. So, the real question is, what's your next move?